Well, after a 2-day binge of apples and honey, here we have it, our very own Hanoch live from Modi'in, Israel. I guess that should make you a little sweeter this year, huh?
Well, we don't know. I mean, I had surgery Sunday night, so
Oh, that's true. Yeah, how you
it
doing?
has been it's been kind of a bumpy couple of days.
Okay.
But here we are. No internet, so we're back on the phone.
Mhm.
5782, Shana Tova. Let's hope for a good one, man. Let's
Lashana
make it a good
Tova.
one.
Yeah, that sounds
Yeah,
like a good idea to me.
yeah. I think this. I take back what I said of let's hope it's a good one. Let's make it a good one.
There you go.
This hoping, prayer is great, hope is wonderful, but action just resonates with my soul. What can I say?
Yeah, there you go. And now that you're all through the surgery and all those things, we can get back to wherever we're supposed to go here. I got a question for you, Hanoch, and it's a
Yes.
question that's been posed to me 3 or 4 times in the last few days. I've got my own answer, and I want to make sure that I've actually got a right answer. Why is Rosh Hashanah celebrated over 2 days?
Okay, this is where I pull on everything I've ever learned as a tour guide, and we don't cover stuff like that. It is a shadow, and that's my term.
Okay.
Of the fact that it was always 2 days to be able to have the Sanhedrin, the supreme rabbinical sage court, certify the new month and have that information get out to the communities as far away as Babylonia. Excuse me. There is an element, though, that when the Ashkenazi community began moving here in the 18th century, I think it was the 18th century, 17, whatever, I think it was Rav Yechiel of Paris, brought the custom of the 2-day of Rosh Hashanah that the Ashkenazi community has always maintained. The Mizrahi, the Eastern Sephardi communities, it seemed we're keeping 1 day. Make a long story short, we do it over 2.
Okay.
It is the only holiday in Israel that is celebrated over 2 days.
Yeah.
Outside of Israel, we have, Pesach has an extra day, Sukkot has an extra day, Shavuot has an extra day. We just have days to go around.
Oh, okay. I thought it had something to do with the diaspora and giving everyone a chance to, be on the same page, no matter where you were. So, well, that makes it pretty much as clear as mud anyway, which is typical, right? So, what's the? Well, you've been kind of out of the loop here doing your Rosh Hashanah over the last couple of days. I think that's a new term, by the way. But
it most certainly is.
Yeah. So what's happening in Israel right
now? Okay, a lot of things happening in Israel. First of all, for me personally, this was the second year in a row in my entire life that I was not in a Beit Knesset, a synagogue, for Rosh Hashanah.
Yeah.
2 years in a row. Only time it's ever happened since I was a little boy. Last year, of course, we were under lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
This year, I just wasn't up to walking the long distances and was not going inside with 100 to 350 of my closest neighbors that I've never met. Decided that wouldn't be a good thing.
Yeah.
Plus all the ups and downs, standing, sitting, not great.
No.
What is cool, though, is here in Modi'in, and they have this throughout Israel, But here in Modi'in, in each and every neighborhood, each of the 2 days of Rosh Hashanah, they have someone come and blow the shofar in one of the parks. So anyone who's not in a Beit Knesset, anyone who is not at all remotely religious, but would love to hear the shofar, they can do that. So that was cool. News from Israel, lots of things going on. First of all, I deserve a bit of a mazal tov. Congratulations. Today, the 8th of September, is exactly 12 years since I came on Aliyah. 12 years ago today, I became an Israeli.
Well, happy anniversary.
Thank you. Very excited about that. I had thought until last year that I came on 9/9/09, September 9th, 2009. Ayala dug up a picture of me at the airport with her and Kira. That showed that it was the 8th of September. Do you remember the Temptations? It was the 3rd of September. That day I'll always remember. Okay, we'll stop singing.
It's taken us 10 minutes to get you into song mode.
Okay. And that's because I'm a little restrained. The surgery, in case you're wondering, was not fun.
Okay.
But hey, it is what it is. It is what it is. A lot of things going on in Israel. We had a disastrous prison break.
Yeah.
6 arch terrorists got out. The mess up after mess up after mess up after mess up, including the guard in the tower sleeping, and the fact that a cell phone had been smuggled in, the fact that this was a joint cell of 6 arch terrorists. I mean, it heads will roll for this.
Oh yeah.
I probably could get a temporary job in the prison system. So this is bad. This is real bad. Things with Hamas, they keep being the puppet masters, sending over incendiary balloons. Now Islamic Jihad is warning, if we harm any of these 6 prisoners, if we're able to catch them, so this is a bad situation, getting worse by the moment.
Yeah.
Okay. This time frame marks a full year of the quote unquote Abraham Accords, the deals that we struck with United Arab Emirates and Bahrain. And what's astounding about it is what was astounding then, as it is now, first of all, that the deals are holding.
Yeah.
There's enormous amount of commercial works going on, and they moved away from the standard claim that the right of return, that anyone who is the descendant of anyone that UNRWA didn't count properly in 1948, and that's now, from 750,000 Arabs who now define themselves as Palestinians who left Israel of their own accord. There are now 5.4 million on the roll. I mean, you can be a doctor in New York City who has a grandfather or great-grandfather, whatever. So this was, and at first it seemed that these Abraham Accords were in place of the American pledge to support limited sovereignty in Judea and Samaria. What has come out since is before these accords with United Arab Emirates and Bahrain were signed, that America had already backpedaled from that position. Kushner, Greenblatt, all the guys involved admitted it. And Netanyahu never wanted to do it anyway. So it's not like we gave up sovereignty to get these deals. These deals are not with countries on our borders. So there's no issue of they're in territory that belongs to historic promised Eretz Yisrael, the land of Israel. So that's another interesting thing. the repercussions of the Bennett-Biden meetings, we really don't know yet. Other than Secretary of State Blinken, my good old Blinken, I've been thinking, really got upset with Yair Lapid, our prime minister. Excuse me, not yet. In a year and 3/4 he will be. Our foreign minister and deputy or associate or second string prime minister criticized the American withdrawal from Afghanistan. And America's bad boy. Don't be saying that. Don't be saying that. And, I love watching these videos, where it's described as, you'd think this was the exact same thing as D-Day. I mean, this was just like this tremendous accomplishment on the part of America, which astounds me because this coming Shabbat will be 20 years since the attacks on 9/11.
Yep.
And for all of those who were thinking, gee, I wonder what happened to ISIS, hang on, they're coming back to Afghanistan. Al-Qaeda, hang on, they're coming back to Afghanistan. And if the world wasn't crazy enough, Sirhan is up for parole. The guy who murdered Senator Robert Kennedy for his support of Israel could get parole.
It's when you start to put all the pieces together of everything that's happening. Kathy likes to do jigsaw puzzles. And, you go into a story, as we did the other day, and she starts looking at the box, the top of the box, to see what the puzzle would look like. And she bases, I'll buy that one because I like the looks on it. If someone was to take the pieces of all this puzzle and actually put it all together, nobody'd buy it.
No, it's too insane. I'm trying to raise the level of the camera. That makes a big difference.
Yeah, internet connection there on Hanoch's side is not the best right now. The internet's still coming off of Rosh Hashanah, maybe a little slowly, right? But to think of all the puzzle pieces that are coming together, we saw the Hurricane Ida on the same day as Katrina dating back to the time of the Gaza pullout. The Biden-Bennett meetings, it's just like, it's almost like the Almighty has woven everything together, and one day he's going to turn it around and we're going to see, wow, that's quite a picture you've got there.
That's exactly why right now we're in the Aseret Yemei Tshuva, the 10 days of turning or returning. This is the time. This is the time when we're all supposed to do a personal accounting. This is that, on the one hand, people focus on Hashem, don't punish me for what I, and then you come with the laundry list. This should be a year of health. This should be a year of blessing. This should be a year of parnassah, of livelihood, blah, 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 blah. Okay. First of all, let's be grateful for the brachot, the blessings that we've gotten. The fact that we're here today. This is a tremendous, tremendous thing. But this is the time for real soul searching.
Yeah.
And I can't stress enough the enormous opportunities that we have in front of us.
Yeah.
We have our destiny in our hands.
Yeah. And beside that, the extra blessing of we're entering into a Shemitah.
Yeah.
So what does Shemitah mean for you? You don't have much of a garden, I don't think, on your balcony. Uh, you're not much of a farmer. Nothing personal, but I just know you.
I farmers markets. I
Yeah,
have
yes, farmers
done
market.
that.
What does the Shemitah really mean for modern day Israel?
Okay. Well, first of all, anything that was planted, I mean, this is like it's a switch was flipped.
Mm-hmm.
This is now a new year. Okay. There are people who will only eat imported produce. There are people who actually buy from the so-called Palestinian Authority. I wouldn't let that vegetable pass these lips. No way, no how. I buy vegetables from an organic farmer.
Mm-hmm.
Ben Rosenberg is his name. And what he's done at great expense since the last Shemitah is he's built hothouses where he's able to grow a limited number of crops which are not in the ground. That's the key part.
Mm.
It's not grown in the soil. Okay. Then there are other elements of how, back in the day, when we were 30 families in a village, and you could walk for 2 hours in that direction and find the Edomites, Amorites, Ammon, all the ites.
Yeah,
all the
electrolytes.
The electrolytes. Yeah. You could buy that wasn't land owned by us.
Mm-hmm.
So there are different ways. Now, what it'll mean is when I go into a produce store, they will have a sign indicating where this was from and under what it's actually fairly long and complex, but we don't starve and we don't get scurvy. It's okay.
Yeah, and I know that there'd be people maybe not listening to us that would go, well, that's just ridiculous. That's crazy. Not to me, because these are all things that we look at the Shemitah rabbinically. My understanding is the rabbinic scholars through the centuries have said that the Shemitah is something that we'll probably never really understand and never really do right until the Mashiach himself tells us how to do this. So, growing something that's not in the ground, okay. I mean, it's all in our way of trying to figure out, so how do we implement these words into our lives in the society today?
For those in the Hebrew roots Christian community who look askance upon how we observe the Torah,
mm-hmm.
Got to remind these guys, first of all, the Torah is eternal. How it is implemented and observed through a changing world is the key challenge.
Right.
Now, we have stuck with it from the get-go.
Yeah.
So, the people who will criticize us are people who may be doing this. The longest it could be is 30 years. 30 years. 30 years. And they don't live in Israel.
Mm-hmm.
So they got no skin in the game.
Yeah.
This ain't a problem in Tennessee. So you know what? We have dealt with it consistently
mm-hmm.
through all these years. We now have a Jewish population in Israel of 6,850,000 people. So to sit in Pocatello, Idaho somewhere and say, well, it says here that I don't care what you think, really. Well, what you want to do, it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah. The other side of this, though, that I find interesting is that up until very recently, the halakha, the way of walking out the Torah, was dictated by the majority of Jews in the diaspora. it's only been in recent years that there are more Jews now in Israel than
anywhere
there
else in the
are
world.
in the diaspora. And so that
Well,
adds a whole nother issue to this.
well, no. Let me just correct you there. We're the largest Jewish community, but we're not yet at 51% of the world Jewish population.
Yeah.
But and it's possible in our lifetimes that we will reach that. Now that has enormous halachic implications in a lot of areas, which, again, is not my area of expertise. I'm not going to go into it. I'm focused on, like, for instance, this is a period where in the Jewish community, people routinely go around and ask for mechila, for forgiveness. And you'll see these things coming up on Facebook, if I, said something that hurt your feelings, or, if I didn't help you enough, blah, blah, blah. Okay. And there really is something to be said for a heartfelt apology, as opposed to the standard, just like, I'll give you an example. Many years ago, Kira, my youngest, was slandered by a counselor in the camp that she attended. She took a dislike to Kira, and at the end, in an evaluation, said she shouldn't be invited back to camp. So a few years later, she wrote Kira a really, really poignant email saying, I was wrong, and I'm asking you for mechila, I'm asking you for forgiveness. And I am so proud of Kira, who wrote back and told her, no. Forgiveness is not automatic. And, people say to me, Hanoch, you seem to be an unforgiving person. Bless my heart. Hashem forgives. Hanoch does not. But for all the, I know I've ruffled some feathers. So I want to say to everyone listening, if there's anything that I did over the last year that you felt hurt your feelings, that I stepped on your toes, that I blasted you for a Facebook post or a comment, I want to say very clearly that there's still time for you to apologize for making me have to.
How did I know that was coming?
And the best part is there are people that are watching this that are laughing, saying, boy, that Hanoch is funny. I'm dead serious.
Yeah, I know. And we know you. There's aspects that we lovingly, let me put it this way, Hanoch, we lovingly endure.
Hey, it's in this life, we have to endure a lot. Now, last update, and things change all the time. Last update, I went to great lengths to explain that there's, the Ministry of Tourism is basically telling us, go find another field to work in. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, before Rosh Hashanah, there's a blurb that says the government decided on September 19th, today's the 8th, that they're going to begin, like they were supposed to do in July, letting in select certain tour groups under certain conditions. Yeah. Now, tour operators have to apply. It's not an ideal situation. Don't misunderstand. But it's a beginning. It's a little crack. It's a little, kol hatchalot kashot. All beginnings are difficult. So it's not the situation we want. It's not the conditions we want, but it's a start.
Yeah.
What will that mean for me? I doubt that I'm going to be working for another year. That's the sad part. But,
we'll see.
We shall see.
We'll see.
We shall see. Still hoping and praying.
there you go. And by the way, I know that you probably are not looking out the window right now because you're talking to me, but the new moon was just sighted in Israel, which for those that you know like to go out and sight that, I love to. I think it's just kind of a cool thing. Connects me a little bit. I mean, I do everything I can these days to just stay connected with the land. You know, we had our Yom Teruah service last night.
Oh, how nice!
And Reuben has his own shofar now, and can really he does pretty good. Phineas has his little tiny shofar that he hasn't quite got down. I mean, there's sound coming out, but it's a little different. And one of I had just received a shofar from Lev HaOlam, so two of the littlest of the Connors clan actually have those, and they were blowing those last night. So you had a great time with us. It was fun.
Wait a second. Which one of the 17 Connor children?
Okay. With well, these are actually the grandchildren. So this is James and Judd. So okay. Yeah, I kind of put them all together in the clan there. But this is so actually Judd was the one that kind of hijacked the shofar, and he was doing a pretty good job with it. It was one of those small ones that's hard to blow.
Yeah, that's it's interesting. I think I had mentioned to you in a personal conversation, a group of Swedish Ephraimites wanted me to give an online lecture about the return of the reunification of Judah and Ephraim. So first they wanted to do a kind of a 3-minute teaser. So they said, don't worry, we'll be able to do as many takes as you want to, and if you make a mistake. And I said, guys, I do this for a living, So, like, just roll the camera. Anyway, it's just said, can you pull out, your big shofar and blow it? So, like, no. And, to explain to people that in Israel, we don't run around blowing the shofar every other day. Now, it's true. During the month of Elul, every morning in Shacharit, in the morning service, in the Beit Knesset, in the synagogue, the shofar is blown. Yeah. The sound of the shofar, remember, is supposed to pierce your heart. And as I was listening to it over the last 2 days, I kept saying to myself, I wonder if people are really saying, hey, it's time for a change. It's really time for me to stand up and do something. It's time for me to get educated, get involved, and make a difference in this world.
Be a good thing to do. Yeah, it'd be a good thing to do. Well, for you, how about take it a little easy and recover from your surgery, and we will talk to you next week, okay?
Yeah, I asked the surgeon. Now, again, he had never met me because my surgeon bailed out. And it's a whole long story. Anyway, so I asked him in Hebrew, of course, when can I go to the Heder Kosher, the fitness room, the weight room? And he looked at me like, you're 3 hours off the table. Seriously? You're asking me this? So I said, well, yeah, like 3 days. He's like, 2 weeks. Give yourself 2 weeks. So I'm like, ugh. So I'm going to go tomorrow and walk on the treadmill. I got to do something.
Okay, yeah. Got to do something.
Yeah, I'm pure as, body model. I understand that.
Yeah. We have our own little hamster. We just got to get you a little treadmill thing, wheel, and we'd be able to, we could do a webcam of Hanoch in the hamster wheel.
Just remember, the wheels on the coach go round and round.
Got that. Talk to you later, buddy.
Take care, Mike. Bye-bye.